if you were Vladimir Putin and you're facing that, how do you even, what do you do to protect your own country?
Well,
Because
that's a great question.
obviously that's not his mindset.
The Russians and the Chinese and others have been thinking about this for a long time. I mean, the US has had its way for years, certainly since the collapse of the Soviet Union. It's invaded any country it's wanted to. It's destroyed many countries. It's been able to coerce countries through economic sanctions, and a lot of countries have been wondering, like, how are we going to counter this? And a lot of countries haven't had the power up till now to do it. I think, right now what we're seeing in Ukraine is Russia's finally asserting itself to try to push back against this. And to some extent, it has done so successfully. It is weathering the economic sanctions. The ruble's now through the roof, right?
It's one of the top currencies in the world. Yeah.
Yeah. The Chinese are doing fine. And I think they're both going to do fine, barring a U.S. war against them. But I think that war could be coming. I mean, that is what I fear, that is possibly part of the plan. I think the Russians and Chinese are preparing for that. I don't know how much you could. It will be a devastating war if that comes. A lot of humanity will be destroyed. And that's why we have to pose it. That's the other thing. I mean, I think if we were to really cut to the chase, I think however people view Russia, however they view Ukraine, however they view any of this, goal number one has to be to stop a nuclear war, to stop World War III. That's our goal. Yeah. We should be able to agree on that. And we, the American people, are the only people who can stop it. Because if it starts, it's going to start from here.
Right.
And I think that is pretty clear. And then when you hear Biden, Biden's losing in Ukraine and he's threatening to attack China. I mean, these people are insane.
They are insane. Yeah. they're psychopaths. We're at a point. You had mentioned something in your book that I wanted to come back. I know it wasn't your direct quote. It was, you were quoting someone else, but it was regarding this. It was about the Reagan years when they were contemplating nuclear holocaust, same kind of hawkish kind of deal, talks about it. And they said that there was 200,000 people were considered expendable in the US.
No. Many more.
Okay, I got that wrong. Okay.
This was in the late 60s. The Defense Department decided we could lose half our population and still be a functioning nation. Right?
Really?
Yeah, half at that time, I don't know what the population was. I think it was maybe 200 million or maybe it was 150 million. We're talking millions of people.
Right.
They decided that they were expendable. We could lose that many and keep going. That is Dr. Strangelove. Well, in fact, Dr. Strangelove was
the film
based on some of that stuff because General Westmoreland and all that.
Right.
They were openly talking about these crazy things. And so again, people have to really, get their heads around that. That we have
that they don't care.
Yeah,
they do not care.
Those terms. Yeah. Who think that millions could die, and that would be totally fine with them. Yeah.
Yeah. So as far as where we go from here, like for instance, today, right? Finland and Sweden, they're trying to join, as you know, like here we go with NATO, which most people think that are, relatively peaceful people think that it should be abolished. It shouldn't be expanding the way it's expanding. However, if Finland and Sweden join, how does that change the outlook?
Well, I think it makes the world all that much more dangerous. People have to remember that Finland partnered with the Nazis in invading the Soviet Union.
Yep.
The Finnish airport just changed the symbol of their the Air Force, which had a Nazi swastika on it. They just took that off. They just did, right? To try to
clean up the image.
Clean up their act, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Finland especially, which is on the border of Russia, if they enter NATO, that will be seen again as a red line for Russia.
Well, yeah. And what, for the audience that's listening, like, look at your map. Finland shares, I think it's 900 or 800 miles of borderland with Russia.
Right.
That's a huge border. That's like, equivalent of almost Canada for us, right? So imagine if missiles were just pointed right at all our cities.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, the Russians won't put up with that. And again, this is being talked about even after this conflict in Ukraine began. Like, you'd think people would be trying to ratchet down the tension, right?
Right. Or
instead they're trying to ratchet it up. I mean, that's clearly what's happening. Like, oh, we've already provoked Russia. Let's just provoke them even further. I mean, again, this is not something you've really seen before. Again, if you think of the Cuban Missile Crisis when the shoe was on the other foot, John F. Kennedy definitely had bellicose statements and clearly was ready to go to war over this. But at the same time, he was negotiating with Khrushchev, right? There was brother Bobby, who made conciliatory moves with Russia, agreed, one, that they wouldn't invade Cuba, right? That's why the Cubans wanted the missiles. And two, that we would get our missiles out of Turkey. People forget we had missiles in Turkey at the time pointing at Russia. So at the same time, Kennedy was talking tough, he was negotiating with Khrushchev. I don't see that happening right now. No,
there's no adults in the room right now.
Right.
And if like some of the people, long timers that work with Biden, there's no adults in this room. I'm telling people, like, they need to pay attention because this is their life. They need to be involved with their country and what's happening because it's stark right now. Now, do you know,
is run by children. Actually, there's a great, it's incredible. If you go lobby, it's mostly 20 somethings. And there's actually a great movie. It's a British movie, and I'm forgetting what it's called. It's about the Iraq War, and this general comes in. I think it's British, and they make him talk to this like 20-year-old or something. It's really funny, but it's real. And apparently, for example, the sanctions that Biden imposed on Russia were not run by the Federal Reserve or our economic experts. It was